went into that. There was a grant money that went into that. And I would suggest, if it's nonprofit, for the council to just let them use it free. Because there's hundreds of hours that went into that for free. And those boys, those Boy Scout boys are some of the youth, he's talking about it, and they put in hundreds of hours themselves. So my suggestion would be, go for it, Lynn, and I hope the council lets you have it for nothing.
Well, explain how that is, how the boys, what did the boys do?
Eagle Scout
Yeah,
project.
it was an Eagle Scout.
Several of them there. They built fences, they rocked the face of it.
Oh, I mean, yeah, the Big Apple, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, what a tribute to the boys that actually helped build the place. And enough on that, that's not why I came.
Thank you. Good job.
I got one question for the council, I guess. My wife was in here a couple weeks ago and asked to be put on the agenda. I would like to know why I wasn't put on the agenda.
Because we felt like you're under a citizen's concern.
Pardon me?
I mean, we asked you, we didn't get any requests from you, we got a request from you, or the first, what did we get, the first time that she came in, what did she say?
Susan just came in and someone was talking to be on the agenda and she said, I think Dave would like to be on the agenda. Will you write him down? And I wrote him on.
Okay, can I correct that? She came in and, Mrs. Delson, I can't remember her first name. Colleen and Paula and Janet were all three in here. She asked all three of them at once, can I be put on the agenda? And they says yes.
Yes, and I wrote it on.
Okay, and why was I taken off? That's my question.
You weren't taken off.
My name's not on the agenda.
We didn't get any information about what you wanted to be on.
She was not communicated that.
And that's
You're,
true.
you can
She said,
speak,
could David
Dave.
be on the agenda? And I said, what would be, and he was standing here and she says, it has to do with the water. And then, and that was it.
Is
You
that
know, that was
enough?
it. Oh, and, you know, and I just wrote that on there, it's written on there, okay, then after that, when we were making up the agenda, and I said, where should I, you know, put Dave on here, and you asked to put him under the citizens, isn't that correct?
Right.
Okay, then I called your house about a week ago, and I explained this to Susan, you know, and I said, I talked to Jesse, I believe it was, and I said, you know, could you have your, mom or dad call me? And I didn't state the nature and the.
You talked to her this morning, and by that
Yes,
time it was too late to get on
yeah.
the
Is this what,
agenda.
is
That's
this what
true,
you wanted to
but
talk
I'm just,
about?
I'm explaining the
We're
sequence.
gonna run home.
Dave, I'm just explaining the sequence,
I've
and I
waited the whole
talked to
meeting for this.
Jesse, and I just said, you know, would you ask your mother or dad to call me when they get home? And I said, this is Paula, and I think he wrote Paul Pace down because she said she thought it was the state president.
Okay.
And I didn't, you know, I didn't call back, and I didn't tell him the nature of it simply because I sometimes, parents, or sometimes, you know, if I said, okay, this is about the water issue, you know, or whatever,
Okay,
so I
okay.
didn't stay.
Aside from that, why
Aside from
wasn't I on the agenda?
But you can speak, you're under the.
But if it's not on the agenda, the council can't act on it, you guys know that.
That's true, but I did ask to type it on.
And what was the answer? I wanna know an answer. I would like an
Well, what-
answer communicated to me.
We don't know what you wanted to come,
You did too. It was
What?
told to her. She just told me you knew.
Yeah, I said it was water.
Yeah.
And,
You knew
well,
that.
we can discuss it, we can make a decision on anything that you wanna bring up in this meeting. And you don't have to be on the agenda.
Well, then why is it such a big deal?
To be on the agenda?
Yeah. These two people before me were on the agenda, weren't they, Colleen?
Yes, and we sat and talked about it for quite a long time, about the way to be on the agenda and stuff.
Why am I different than
Okay,
anybody else that
and
wants to be
David?
on the agenda?
okay, I'm just gonna answer it from my point of view, since we made this policy about how to be on the agenda. And this is why we made it, for things like this wouldn't happen. And this is exactly how it came down, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I said, do I put David on the agenda, or do I put him under the citizens? And Mayor Dorsey said, I'd like to put him under the citizens. There was no explanation given to me, and that's exactly what I did. And when Susan called this morning, I said, that's how it went down, and I explained what I did, that I called Jesse, and I said, we know that Dave's coming here tonight, and we know that he has some discussion. And
So
we'll
I was
deal with it."
discussed.
Pardon?
I was discussed by the mayor and the
No,
secretaries
you
in the
weren't
office.
discussed, I personally just asking, do I put him on or I put him in the citizens?
I wasn't in the citizens, I wasn't on there anyway.
Well, he said, I said, should we just put him under citizens, like, we know you're going to be here and that you will discuss it, and he said yes.
Do you
And so
council
when I
members,
talked
do you
to
council
Susan-
members feel that I was snubbed for not being on the agenda? That's a question to each one
And I
of you.
didn't ask any of them, nor did the.
And
the
we
mayor
weren't
ask
talking
any of
about
them.
you in the office.
Okay, it doesn't matter. I wanna know from each council member, was I treated differently than anybody else that's ever wanted to be on the agenda?
The way I understand it, if you're on the citizens, then anybody that's on the citizens can speak up. You already have an appointment.
Another thing you need to understand, and unless you're on the agenda, the council does not act on you.
Well, usually they do.
That's true.
Yes.
That's why I wanted to be on the agenda.
I
And,
don't
and,
know.
and Susan happens to be my wife. We're legally married. If she comes in and asks for me to be on the agenda, that's just as if I come in and ask to be on the agenda. I called Richfield and they says an 8-year-old kid can come and ask if their father wants to be on the agenda, and we put them on there. So Janet, what's your thoughts?
Well, okay, I was standing there when Susan came in, and I heard her ask to be
And I
put
wrote
on
it on
the
the
agenda.
Okay.
So, yes, I
So why
guess she
wasn't I?
was.
Jennifer?
I wasn't in here, I don't know anything.
Well, what do you think about the discussion? Should I have been on the agenda?
I don't really know, I don't get to decide who's on the agenda, we just
Jamie?
get the agenda.
Saying I didn't. I don't know. Doesn't anybody that come in the office and ask to be on the agenda get put on the agenda, Paula?
No, yes.
Yes,
They can
okay.
come in
But
and
they have to
request be on the
decide
agenda.
what
They
they're
can
gonna say.
request to be
They
on.
can-
it.
But that wasn't communicated to the person that asked to be put on the agenda. Paula
And
knew
that's-
what I was coming in for, didn't
And
you?
yes, and I
Okay.
said what he was coming in for. Okay, I'll say it, Dave, the choice was made by the mayor to put him
Okay.
in the citizens, that's
Thank
exactly
you.
how it came down.
Thank you. Can I formally, whatever process it takes, get put on the agenda for next month?
Yes, and you just read our policy, I mean, we read the policy to you, and
Would
I'll
you make
give
him
you
a
a copy of it,
that,
and you can do
Yeah.
that, and that
But
will
see,
be
the
fine.
policy wasn't handed to my wife prior to
That's
this
right,
meeting.
and,
'cause we
and
just
David,
made
the
it.
reason it
Yeah, I
wasn't is I
figured-
didn't
I
have it
figured as
typed
much,
up, and
yeah.
I didn't have it typed up. It
Okay.
had to come before the council, that's why.
I'm
and
I'm glad this came up so you guys could have a new policy.
Well, you know,
And-
this is a new office.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to kind of, unfortunately, have things happen before you go, wow, we should have made a policy.
Yeah.
We should have a standard of performance, which
Sure.
we never
Sure.
had before.
That now we do.
And so, you know, things occur.
There's actually state guidelines.
That's why,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
That's the policy book
Yeah.
and procedures
And
book.
you didn't follow state guidelines with me.
No, we didn't.
You did not.
But we didn't have, we didn't have our policy in place, and and that, these things happen, and I guess that's what Rick calls it to our attention, that we have to have our policies right on the book
Yes.
and on the record. And,
I'm
we
glad I
can't-
got to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, well, we are too, I suppose. And I guess, let me think.
The former administration from 1932 or something.
Let's see, maybe I misspoke. No, I mean, these policies and procedures have not really been written down at a point, and now they need to be.
Well, I would think you would
Yes,
be
and,
real cordial with the public and not snub them for who knows why.
and that's certainly true, and we need to have a really good, clear understanding of what citizen input's going to be and what being on the agenda is, because we actually have had some people call and say they wanna be on the agenda, and we say, okay, what for? And they go, well, because I don't wanna do something, and you go, okay, can you be a little more specific? And so that's kind of how it came to, and perhaps I was, not me, but maybe we should have gotten on the policy a little bit quicker.
Or allow this one and then maybe next month.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
so now that we do have this policy and procedure, there's no, you can certainly
Okay.
do it that way, and if you follow it, we have no recourse.
So, have I started the process?
Yes, you have.
Okay, and I will get a copy before I
Yes, you
leave?
will.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
All right, anybody else you got anything to say, Guy? How about you, Nancy?
Oh, I am not going to be able to take any money for Apple Days at the dance with Diane. You'll have to find somebody else to
Okay,
sit
I'll
with her.
make a note of that.
Okay, yes, thank you for that.
What about our media area?
Let's